Recording in progress.
It builds. Oh, absolutely, no, absolutely. That is that time. That's how. How goes it? He didn't crash the car. No, that was 6 o'clock. I can tell that's pretty great. Finally tried. And that's what we'll follow. The cities. Pretty close. No. Four wide, three lanes, they were four wide. It looks like that, and that's our race, it was crazy. So what, I told them, I'm doing this. Say, the meters running. Oh my God. Yeah, well, yes. It's hard to tell. Well, I've watched the agenda. I'm pretty thought it's something, there's a rare. Hey, you know, you always have this. She told me last year. She didn't like the last time. She was maybe your husband's has a health issue. She had concern about that's Gordon wonderful. He knows everything. How's gossip going?
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the April meeting of the ZBA, Zoning Board of Appeals. Roll call.
Sir, Berg,
Here.
Koleski,
Here.
Jacobitz,
Yes.
Beely, Miller is absent, Berthold,
Here.
we have a quorum.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, approve of the minutes from our last meeting, which was back in November. Had a copy in your packet. Any questions or corrections on the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes as presented.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes approved. New business. We have a request for 545 Industrial Drive for a dimensional variance. Do we have someone here to speak on that? Was someone coming, they thought?
Well, Jake Wright, Frigo is supposed to.
But-
He may be under the impression he has some of the site plan.
That would be wrong.
Yeah, that would be.
He's downstairs.
I mean, I understand the project, so it's up to you if you want me to explain that.
Unless we got somebody online.
Do we have somebody online to speak to this issue? No one speaking? Okay.
I don't know if it was, okay. I mean, we can.
I'm sorry?
Move on and we'll see.
Okay.
See if he comes.
We'll see if it shows up. We'll move on to our next item. which was for 1235 William Street. And what we have now is William Street for a dimensional variance for sign. I assume we have someone to speak on that?
Actually,
No, so there,
Okay, go ahead. There's a little bit, some
There-
issues on this,
yeah,
so.
there won't be anyone to speak on this. So this was noticed. It was noticed because the college is a tax exempt property. The addresses are very awkward, so this was a clerical error on my side. Kristen and I from assessing have assigned an address now, a permanent address of 146 South Charles Street. So that will be in front of you next month. We have combined these two parcels now, so more people will get noticed as well. And it will be correct next time for you. But as a public hearing, it should be opened. Comment if
Okay.
anyone does, even though it's in basically a non-existent address, and then close and
tabled or postponed.
not, just no action.
Oh,
Just let it die because
Okay.
there isn't really.
Because the
an
next
action to
public
make.
hearing will be for the correct address.
yes.
So based on all that, we will declare open a public hearing, what we had for 1235 William Street. 1234 William Street, excuse me. We have anybody that showed up to speak on that, even though it was, notification was sent out that the public hearing was not going to happen. But if you showed up, give you an opportunity. Nobody on it, anybody online? Hearing none, close the public hearing.
That will be on the agenda for next.
It'll be on the agenda for next month with a corrected address.
Okay, and
So new notifications will be sent out to everybody who falls into the area for the new corrected address.
okay,
Third item on the agenda, we have for 1470 Enterprise Drive dimensional variance. Someone to speak on that. Please come up, give the name and briefly tell us what it is you're asking for.
Thank you very much. I'm Jim Berryman, 676 Stonecrest and Adrian, and I'm here representing it's College Station, and I am the project manager for College Station. What we're asking for is the parking lot. This is for the homes that are across from Kabnik. And there are 20 units. And when it was originally, when it went through the commission, planning commission, it had 4-foot sidewalks. And then through the process, there was a request where I'd really like 5-foot sidewalks. And so when it was all done and ready for inspection to allow students to go into the units, it was found that the stripes for the stalls for the cars were one foot short on each side. Unfortunately, what happened was the original planning commission went through, had 4-foot sidewalks. We went through a process and ended up with 5-foot sidewalks. And so the stalls, instead of being 18 feet, are 17 feet on each side. But the important part, I think, is the 24 feet in the middle that the fire department, the fire chief requested. That still is at 24 feet.
so to paint the lines another foot longer would encroach on the fire lane.
If you took the lines out, yes, an additional foot, it would take away from the fire lane.
Okay.
Yeah. We put the turnaround at the end, and is it a mistake? Absolutely, it is. It should have been 60 feet wide, and it's 58. I think there was, and obviously when you have 2 feet like that, you go back and you look and say, it's really easy to come back and say, okay, you went from a 4-foot to a 5-foot on each side. There's the foot on each side. But I did go out and take pictures of cars that were, that didn't even go up, past the curb, and still had room at the end. I do think that, what this is being used for are college students, whether Adrian college students, Siena High School. I'm talking to both Siena and Adrian to have students go into those homes. And so it's not going to be a heavily trafficked area. I don't think you're going to see commercial vehicles in there. But to to make it work. I mean, we can't move forward until, if we can get a variance, we can start putting sidewalks and porches on the other 10 units that are on the west side of that parking lot. And then it also has to be brought up to grade for another layer of blacktop on the parking lot. So yes, the variance is going from an 18-foot stall to a 17-foot stall.
Jeremiah, you have anything to say on this?
No, I think Jim covered it pretty good.
Anyone in the audience to speak on this? Commissioners, questions? A pretty quiet group here tonight.
Kind of late now.
Anyone in the online to speak to this issue? Okay.
So if I show up with my F-350 with the extended cab and the plow on the front.
You'll be the oldest student on the Adrian College.
Yeah, well, that too. So, okay. So, whatever.
Oh, okay. Well, as any variance request, we have some items we need to go down through. So let's work our way through these. And commissioners, if you have comments or disagreements on findings as we go along, please speak up and we'll note those. Number one, there are practical difficulties or unnecessary hardships which prevent carrying out the strict letter of the ordinance. These hardships or difficulties shall not be deemed economic, but shall be evaluated on items and use of the particular parcel of land. Excuse me. This particular, as been stated, there was probably some miscommunication somewhere along the line here regarding the length of these parking spaces and their overhang. And I think the parking space length has to do with trying to keep the sidewalk clear. Is that part of it also? So the cars don't overhang under the sidewalk. Due to this, applicant has provided photos, which we've looked at, showing that the cars are able to park in those areas. Do this, provided photo of parking spaces that comfortably fit the car without overhanging the sidewalk. And it also maintains the driveway width it needs to be. So I'll find yes for number one.
Excuse me.
Yep.
I think 17 feet is probably fine. But I don't know that I want the miscommunication in the record unless I know what that's referring to.
Jeremiah, do you have anything to add to that?
From my recollection, when we discussed this project, I don't want to say anyone's names, but someone had said that it was a 4-foot requirement. And then it came up,
For the
yep,
sidewalk.
then it came up that it was a 5-foot requirement. And by then, this had already taken place.
Okay. But it's written down somewhere, whether it's to be 4 or 5, right? We have a code and they have an architect.
It is, and it's kind of hidden for overhangs. Normally it says 18, but there's a kind of a obscure section about overhangs. And it was not told correctly,
Okay,
so.
Ready to move on?
yes, sorry
Okay.
about that.
Number two, the genuine hardship exists because of unique circumstances of physical condition, such as narrowness, shallowness, shape, topography of the property involved, or to the intended use of the property, do not generally apply to other property uses in the same zone district and shall not be recurrent in nature. We kind of, I think, kind of covered a little bit of what this was, that it was on the sidewalk issue and somewhere there was a misunderstanding about this. And I think we,
If you find that these sidewalks are part of the physical condition, then yes.
okay. Number four, the hardship or special conditions or circumstances,
3.
excuse me, do not result from actions of the applicant. This was always kind of a difficult one to some degree, but the applicant was doing what they thought they needed to be doing by what they were told to do at one time. And so there's, I will find it yes for number 3. The variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of this ordinance, will not cause a substantial adverse effect upon surrounding property values, the use and enjoyment of the property in the neighborhood or district. This doesn't really have any effect on anyone around because it is an internal parking lot, parking area. And I think one of the main things that we want to maintain is the required distance, the driveway, drive-through, whatever you call it, between. So it should not have any effect on anyone. Find yes for number 4. Number 5, the granting of the variance will not confer the applicant any special privileges denied by this ordinance or other lands, structures, or buildings in the same district. Once again, anyone who would come up with a situation similar to this is certainly able to apply for a variance, and it would be taken into consideration at that time. So find yes for number 5. Number 6, the variance request is the minimum amount necessary to overcome the inequality inherent with a particular property or mitigate the hardship. And once again, 1 foot is the minimum. By doing the 1 foot, we maintain the 24-foot lane. I will find yes for number 6. And number 7, variance shall not permit the establishment within district or any use which is not permitted to right of way within the zone. Any use, a special use permit or temporary. This is, not really related. It's not a use permit. It's a distance variance. So find yes for number 7. Questions, commissioners? Hearing no questions, I will entertain a motion.
Mike,
Pardon?
what you're saying.
Oh, I thought we actually checked online comment. We'll ask again. Do we have any online comments from our findings? No? Okay.
I would move that we approve the request for a variance and adopt the resolution that staff has provided.
I second it.
We have a motion, we have support for the motion. Do we have any questions on the motion? Seeing no questions, commissioners, roll call vote.
Beely,
Support.
Gillespie,
Support.
Jacobitz,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Berthold.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
All right. So we have that taken care of. I think we have someone to go back to our first item here for 545 Industrial Drive. Someone to speak on that? Okay. Just kind of come up, give us a name and just a brief description of what it is you're looking to do.
I'm Jake Wright with Krieghoff Lenawee, general contractor for this project. They're looking to enclose their bulk loading area, which is currently right against their rear yard setback. In order to enclose it, they would need to encroach on that rear yard setback. They also have some additional drives that they want to include in the property to just jockey trucks around their site. But the issue currently is in their loading area. They created dust in that process that now with the rugby field directly adjacent, the wind will blow that dust right onto the rugby field for Adrian College.
Are we certain that this enclosure will resolve that problem?
Yes, the enclosure will be outfitted with a dust collection system as well. That'll encapsulate everything.
And we just have kind of an outline of where it's going to go. What are we talking, like a metal wall? What-
It'll be a pre-engineered metal building structure that will be as wide as the truck lane, and it'll be about 38 feet high to the top, give or take, because big semis have to come in, lift the box up and to dump into a hopper.
How high is the building it's attached to?
This will not actually be attached to the building. So there's the building, then they have some storage silos, and then this loading lane.
Oh, okay. This is much shorter than the silos.
Yes,
This will not be the tallest element on the property.
no.
Okay.
Do we have anyone in the audience to speak on this? Anyone online to speak on this? Commissioners, questions? Questions?
No,
Okay.
fair enough.
As with our last variance request, we have some items we need to go down through. This particular difficulties, unnecessary hardships will prevent carrying out the strict letter of the ordinance. These hardships and difficulties shall not be deemed economic, but shall be evaluated in terms of use of a particular parcel of land. The applicant would argue that the outside forces such as wind blowing the lime in the neighbor's property, which have recently installed a rugby field, this lime is caustic and should not get in people's skin, on people's skin. So what they're asking for is hopefully to be able to take care of that problem. I would find yes for number one. The genuine hardship, number two, the genuine hardship exists because of unique circumstances, physical conditions, narrowness, shallowness, shape, topography of the property involved, or to the intended use of the property that do not generally apply to other properties used in the same zoning district and shall not be recurrent in nature. The building was purchased in this configuration, as far as we know, and therefore the loading area was already by the rugby field. So nothing they have done to create this problem. Find yes for two.
Mhm.
Number three, the hardship of special conditions, circumstances do not result from actions of the applicant. They've been able to do their business all along, fine, but now with having new neighbors, the dust is creating a problem, so I think, well, my feeling is they're trying to help things out here and make things better. So find yes for number three. Number four, that the variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of this ordinance and will not cause substantial adverse effects upon surrounding properties, property value, and the use and enjoyment of the property in the neighboring area. So obviously, this is what they're trying to do, is make it so there will not be any adverse effect. It's already there. So find yes for number four. Number five, the grant of the variance will confer the applicant, will not confer the applicant any special privileges as denied by this ordinance to other lands, structures, and buildings in the same district. Due to the nature of the property's industrial drive, space is tight, and with being in the rear, it should not confer special privileges to keep a space safe and secure. Find yes for number five.
Mhm.
Number six, the intent of the variance requested is the minimum amount necessary to overcome the inequality inherent to the particular property. They are requesting the minimum just enough to get their semis in, height-wise and length, width-wise of the road. So I would find yes for number six. Number seven, the variance shall not permit the establishment within a district or any use which is not permitted by right within the zoning district, or any use which a special use permit or temporary use permit is required. This, is not related to a use permit, so find yes for number seven. So finding yes for all of our items. Unless we have any more comment from anyone online about our finding of fact. Commissioners, questions on finding of fact?
Just a comment, it's gonna be an awfully huge building, the height of it.
It's-
38 feet, that's tall.
It's tall, but it is shorter than what's going to be next to it.
It's got
Just saying.
silos right next to it that are like
I understand.
Okay.
It's just-
substantially taller, so.
It's just gonna be a huge
Okay.
building.
If I remember correctly, just off the top of my head, I believe it's 50 foot they're allowed in the industrial, so it's still lower than what's allowed.
So the variance is only a dimensional variance, not a height.
The setback,
No,
right,
it's,
it's-
I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Hearing no further questions, entertain a motion.
Given that we found affirmative in all of the 7 items, I move that we approve the resolution as prepared by the city.
Support.
We have a motion, we have support. Any question on the motion? Hearing none, roll call.
Berthold,
Support.
Jacobitz,
Yes.
Neely,
Who?
You.
Oh, me. Support.
Berg,
Yes,
Koleski.
Support.
Motion passed unanimously.
Motion passed. You have the variance. We can take care of the dust flowing. Old business, we have no old business that I'm aware of. Future business, obviously, we will be coming back to the sign variance, probably at our next meeting, I imagine. Okay. No reports, public comment. Any comment from anybody in the public on any of the items or anything dealing with zoning? Okay. If that's it, we will adjourn our meeting.
Thank you.
Folks, we will call to order the April 1st meeting of the Adrian City Planning Commission. As soon as Jeremiah is ready, we'll have a roll call.
Jacobitz,
Present.
Love,
Present.
Weatherby, Johnson,
Present.
Watson is not here yet. Taylor,
Present.
Gauss,
Present.
you have a quorum.
Thank you. First item on our agenda is consideration of the minutes from our March 4th meetings. Commissioners, you have a copy of those minutes. I presume you've had an opportunity to review them. Are there any additions or corrections to the March 4th minutes? If there are none, then we would entertain a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Or we have motion and support for approval of the March 4th minutes. All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those minutes are approved. Next item on our agenda is case number 2507 for 1360 South Main Street, a request for rezoning from B1 to B2.
I do not believe they're here, but I can speak.
Yes,
for
they
them.
are.
Oh, are they?
Yes.
Oh,
And
didn't even see them.
Mr. Thomas?
yes, Mr. Thomas, if you'd step to the podium and briefly tell us what it is that you're asking for and why.
Yeah, so evidently, when we had the site built back in 2006, 2005, must have been a mistake in the zoning process. So we just are asking to have it rezoned to B2 so we can do the planning for our drive-through.
Commissioner, my understanding is that this property is currently zoned B1 and drive-throughs are not permitted in B1. They obviously have a drive-through and it was approved at the time they built that building. And now they want to make a second lane. Is that the idea? Or
Yes, we're going to be
you know,
adding a
expand-
second.
Expand the drive-through capacity.
Yes, sir.
And that's the justification for the request for the zoning change.
Mhm.
Any questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir.
Yep.
For any zoning change, there's certain things we need to consider. First, what identifiable conditions related to the application have changed and would therefore justify the proposed change in zoning? Would making a change in zoning create any precedents by either approving or denying it? And what are the possible effects of those precedents? What is the impact on the ability of the city to provide adequate public services and facilities if this request is granted? Does the requested change negatively affect environmental conditions or the value of the surrounding properties? Is the change consistent with the city's future land use plan? And what is the ability of the property in question to be put to a reasonable economic use as it is presently zoned? I would note that many of the properties surrounding this is Culver's, we should do, people know that this is the Culver's restaurant. And many of the properties surrounding it are already zoned B2. It's largely surrounded by B2. Again, I think this was probably an oversight on a number of occurrences, both the way that it's currently zoned and the fact that they were permitted to have a drive-through without it in the zone that it's currently in. Were all probably oversights at one time. Or we used to have different permissions for B1 than we do now. Is there anyone in the audience, either in person or online, that would like to address the Planning Commission on this particular request? Hearing none, we've closed the public hearing portion of this particular case. I would suggest that the criteria we reviewed, that the applicant fits the criteria that we've considered. I should point out that a change in rezoning, any action we take is in the form of a recommendation to the City Commission. The City Commission is the only body that can actually change the zoning on a property, but so ours is in the form of a recommendation. With that being said, commissioners, is there any discussion? Mr. Johnson? No? No. Way down the side of the dais? Okay. If there are no additional questions or commissioner discussion, we'll we would entertain a motion for a recommendation to the city commission to change this zoning from B1 to B2 and adoption of the resolution that staff has provided.
So moved. Support.
We have motion and support. Is there any additional discussion? Okay, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Gauss,
Yes.
Weatherby,
Support.
Love,
Yes.
Johnson,
Support.
Taylor,
Support.
Jacobitz.
Yes,
Motion passed unanimously.
okay. David? Good luck with that. Yes. I presume that there will also be a site plan forthcoming with that at some point.
Yes,
Okay.
I've seen glimpses of it.
Okay, very good. Next item on our agenda is case number 2510, 1357, Division Street. Also, this is a site plan review for an expansion at Adrian Steel. Is there someone to speak to that? Mr. Hess, is that yours? If you would come forward and identify yourself for the record. And tell it is, we've got the drawings, but very briefly tell us what you're proposing to do.
So Jason Hess with Krieghoff Lenawee, representing Adrian Steel. Adrian Steel would like to put on a about 48,000 square foot addition on the back of the existing building that is roughly 38,000 square feet, and asking for approval of the site plan.
So more than doubling the square footage.
Correct.
Big to do. Or
Correct.
Is this mostly warehouse space?
This is currently warehouse, yes.
Okay, okay. Questions for Mr. Hess?
One quick question, maybe because my magnifying glass on my set that I had at home didn't do so good, but the road that goes back, you're taking it all the way around the back. Is that paved all the way except for the very end, or is it stone part of the way?
So the back portion of that beyond what would be the employee parking lot is just a fire truck access lane
Okay,
to meet
okay.
the NFPA code. That is gravel beyond the employee parking lot.
Right. Yep.
Any other questions, comments? I noticed that staff has did not find any particular conditions or qualifications on the site plan.
No, it was good site plan as usual from,
And it's the opinion of staff that the turnaround at the end of the driveway for fire trucks does not need to be paved, but then gravel is sufficient. Is that correct?
yeah, so we've allowed that in numerous places. Chief Massengale's argument is that some people have not plowed it. My opinion in this particular setting is that that's not a justifiable reason for them to have to pave that. They've said that they would put an agreement out to plow it if need be.
Okay. Because it could just as well go unplowed even if it was paved.
So this is more of a request than a requirement. is what
Okay.
they're asking.
Okay,
And again, I don't find that to be necessary.
okay.
One quick question. Item 4, we're missing some words at the end of the second sentence. I assume that it's supposed to be adequate traffic flow lanes for both Adrian Steel and Goodwill Industries. Is that right? Okay.
Yes.
I didn't think there was anybody else out that way, but I want to make sure that's. Okay.
Which item was that, Don? Was that on?
It's number 3.
Under staff review, item
Number-
4A.
Okay, got it. Okay. Got it. Oh, right, sorry, one question. Yes. Okay, any other questions or discussion? It would appear that the proposed site, that the presented site plan meets the requirements for approval. And we would entertain a motion for that approval and adoption of the resolution.
I would say that you should discuss at least if you want that, because it says subject to any conditions. So if you want to conditionally do that. need to say-
Conditionally,
For the paved, if you want to do that, then we have to throw that in there, but right now it's written for not having the pavement, because I didn't put a condition on it.
I think that was the agreement here that it was not necessary.
Okay.
So,
Just wanted to be sure.
yep. Mhm.
Move to approve the site plan and the resolution.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any additional discussion? Okay,
Watson. Johnson.
Support.
Weatherby.
Support.
Gauss.
Support.
Taylor,
Support.
Jacobitz,
Yes,
Love,
Yes.
motion passed unanimously.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Hess. Next item is case number 2512.
Mhm.
Is that what we have? 2512, 545 Industrial Drive. Probably what we just looked at the ZBA.
Mhm.
And sir, if you would step to the podium again, and once again, for our records, give us your name. And because it's two different bodies and two different sets of minutes,
Yep.
tell us again what it is you're planning to do.
Jake Wright with Krieghoff Lenawee on behalf of Opta. They are looking to enclose their bulk loading area. It's currently open air against their rear yard setback, which is adjacent to the rugby field for Adrian College. This would enclose that area, contain the dust that is currently generated in the loading and the loading process. So that dust will not go on the field. It also includes adding some drives in the back portion of their property to limit traffic on Industrial Drive. With difficulties getting CDL drivers, they need to be able to jockey trucks from the front to the back of their property. This would enable them to do that, as well as adding a scale to the site. Currently, they load their trucks, they have to drive over to W2 Fuels, get weighed before they can go on the road. So this would keep all that in-house, reduce traffic on Industrial Drive and Beecher.
Commissioners, for those of you who weren't here, this was before the ZBA just a half hour ago, where they granted a variance, a dimensional variance relative to the backyard setback. So this structure could be built closer to the lot line than would normally be permitted. Staff also had a number of comments on this. You want to go over those?
Did I?
Yes, you did.
Sure. So engineering, I believe you've read the report, so I'm sure you know. Engineering wanted a permit from Lenawee County Drain Commission as per usual. I assume
We're in process with
but yeah, I
that.
believe we talked about that. One thing of note, and this is a discussion item for you all, I suppose. So engineering has requested, after discussions, requested a sidewalk in front of this property and the upcoming Dollar General.
Industrial Drive.
Yeah, but DG is gonna put it on. But that process is here, the sidewalks the college. And so with these kind of stores, there is foot traffic. So if they were to put this sidewalk in, engineering is proposing a resolution to the city commission to support completing that sidewalk. So
Mhm.
if you guys choose not to put this sidewalk system in, depending on how that goes, they could potentially have to do it eventually, or, you know, if they choose to do it,
If we require that these folks put in a sidewalk, are we guaranteed of it being finished then?
I would say that it should be conditioned upon that resolution being passed.
Oh,
Because if they do not pass that resolution, then
then why do it here?
why have a sidewalk that leads to nowhere with a gap to a sidewalk that leads to nowhere?
Okay,
Jake, I think the real issue is, we just want you to make your owners aware.
Mhm,
They could be forced to do it
mhm.
while you're doing the sidewalks, or while you're doing the driveways and all that site work.
maybe easier.
You just do it. There is the possibility that the city could say you have to do it.
Mhm.
They've discussed it. It's not like we're just.
It's not casting, it's not casting concrete.
It's been spoken.
Yeah, if you watch the budget meeting, which nobody really did, but if you watch it, Matt did bring up these particular projects and the discussion of connecting these to have a walkway through there. And I understand that's a burdenable cost on you, but it will be a desirable lane, and
And it could be a requirement.
it could eventually be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
And then I guess I can go over the others.
yes, please.
So miscellaneous information, obviously, he's talking about they need this pavement for the trucks. We've had many discussions. A lot of these are unlicensed trucks that they do not want going on the road. For obvious reasons, they're not licensed. Trash handling, I believe they did end up displaying a profile for me, so that's okay.
Okay, yeah.
Pedestrian circulation, they do have sidewalks along the building, but again, see, engineering.
From parking lot to.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
And again, then, see engineering notes B, which is their sidewalk question. Exterior lighting, I did not notice any lighting that you were proposing.
We were not proposing to add
Okay,
any,
good.
no.
Landscaping is in the front to screen it, which is very much appreciated. And, if this sidewalk goes in, there may be a potential for a reconfiguration of that landscaping, I would assume. And so those were my findings.
Okay. Commissioners, discussion. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to address the planning commission on this particular matter, either in person or online? Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioners, none of the items that Mr. Clement discussed are particularly onerous or would keep us from approving this site plan. I think we could entertain a motion to approve the site plan as presented with the understanding that they will obtain a permit through the Illinois County Drain Commission and that they will keep in mind the sidewalk frontage either to do now or possibly in the future. Again, we'll leave it to your option, but it may be cheaper to do it now than later. And you could wait until you hear from the commission as to whether they're going to require it.
And I believe that should be very soon, from what Matt has told.
And we've taken, the dumpster issue has been taken care of and landscaping has been included.
Adequate, yes.
So again, with that said, we would entertain a motion to approve the site plan with those minor conditions. Commissioner Love, you looked like you had a question.
No.
Okay.
Move to accept. Move to accept the site plan as discussed and.
With the condition of, with the conditions that we
Condition
met.
as noted, yeah.
Okay. Is there support from Commissioner Johnson? Any additional discussion? Okay, all those in favor, let's have a roll call vote.
Johnson. Support. Watson. Gauss.
Support.
Taylor.
Support.
Jacobitz.
Yes,
Love? Yes.
Weatherby.
Support.
Motion passed unanimously.
okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Next item on our agenda is case number 1344 West Beecher Road, a site plan review for a Dollar General store. Is there someone here to address that particular matter? Sir, if you'd step forward to the podium and give us your name. And we do have copies of the site plan, but if you'd give us the thumbnail sketch of what it is you're proposing.
Yes, good evening. My name is Jason Van Ryn. I work for Naderveld. We're the civil engineers, surveyors for this project. I'm also joined by Scott Stewart. He works for Barry Hutton Construction. They're the developer and they also will be building this store. So tonight we are requesting a site plan approval for a 10,640 square foot Dollar General store located on the north side of Beecher Road, just west of US 223 overpass. This site is comprised of two separate parcels. As they are today, they actually have two buildings on, each parcel has its own building. As part of this project, we would be combining those parcels and removing the buildings to make way for this new store. The topography on this site, it actually drops about 6 feet from the north edge of the property. It's basically going to be a long skinny parcel. Drops about 6 feet from the north all the way down to the low points right along Beecher Road. There's public water, sewer, gas and electric all in the Beecher Road right of way. The sewer on this site is actually owned and maintained by Madison Township. So we're working with them to, get new sewer service for this building. So as I mentioned, we're looking to build a 10,640 square foot Dollar General store. The proposed building is constructed out of pre-engineered metal or pre-engineered steel. The front elevation of the building will have a 4-foot high brick skirting, like a veneer skirting. Above that brick, the front facade will be covered in, it's a pre-finished metal panel. And the entrance of the store has a different color metal panel, and it actually extends up a little higher just to try to highlight like the main entry. And that's also where the sign would go. This new store will be serviced by a 36-foot wide driveway, commercial driveway connection to Beecher Road to provide vehicular access to the site. Beecher Road is a MDOT road, so we're working with MDOT to get that permit approved. The site plan will have 35 parking spaces per the ordinance requirements. That includes 2 handicap or ADA spaces located near the front entry of the building. Stormwater detention is also proposed as part of the site plan. It's located behind the building at the moment, which maybe seems a little weird since the site's draining from the north to south, but it was really because of the narrow nature of the combined parcels. It was really the only location to put it. So we were able to make it work, but the pond is actually going to be kind of hidden behind the building, but it will still run discharge up to the MDOT right of way. So that detention system is designed to meet actually Lenawee County and MDOT requirements because we're outletting to MDOT. So they have their own little bit of requirements. So we have to meet the storage and the volume of Lenawee County, but the release rate and the pipe size for MDOT. So we've done that. The site lighting will be provided by one pole. It's going to have double heads on it, but it's in the front parking lot. It kind of faces inward to the site. In your packet, there should be a photometric plan that shows that. All the other lighting on the site will be just on the building. So the kind of around the east side of the parking around the east side will actually be lit from the building. All the fixtures that are being proposed are downward directed and shielded and, designed so that we're not spilling light pollution off the site. It's designed to just light the surface of the pavement, for safety and so people can, safely traverse the parking area. So I know that there's a handful of outstanding comments that were in the review. We've reviewed those comments and we don't have any issue with addressing those. I think we have a full understanding of addressing those comments. So we're fine with that. So tonight we would just ask for site plan approval, maybe contingent on us submitting revised plans that would address those comments.
Okay, that would include the permit to the Drain Commission.
Correct. And the
MDOT right-of-way permit.
correct.
So we get this on the record.
Correct. Yep. And Madison Township requires a permit for the sewer connection too. So.
Yeah, and you heard the discussion, the sidewalk discussion earlier.
Yep.
and-
Yep. We are amenable to doing the sidewalk along our frontage. Yep.
Okay. We particularly had a concern, the engineering department had a staff concern over the turning radius in the very front there. And I would suggest maybe you consult with our engineering department on
Okay.
that. And that we make if we make our approval condition upon on getting their agreement on it.
I mean, I don't think it needs to go to engineering. Engineering caught it. But yes, it's that little lip going
Yep.
over that.
It's
So if
stick
that
out
can-
too far.
Yeah, if that
Yeah.
can be shaved in some, you'd be fine.
Okay. Yep.
Yep.
That's fine.
Okay. And we have a tree showing that is over a storm line.
We
Again-
will move
again,
that. Yep.
I think you are aware of these, but I just wanted to get these on the record.
Yep.
And I think that was probably it.
I do want to say, I love the trees. They're very hardy species. I commend you on that.
Good. Yeah. And we'll make a note about snow storage. We understand that we can't.
Yeah, try to keep.
Doesn't make sense to
off
plant.
those.
And then
then-
kill
Yeah,
them.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to come after you to.
We have some areas where we should be able to push it and pile it up.
Great.
Commissioners, additional comments or questions for the applicant?
My understanding this is going. This is going to be one of Dollar General's market stores, is that correct?
Yeah, I don't want to commit to that
Okay.
yet. That is popular thing they're doing. I just don't know that I can say that one way or another. I think they're putting certain elements in a lot of their stores now, like more grocery items and things like that. But it's a constantly changing thing, and I don't.
Don't make the commitment. It's a moving
Yeah.
target.
Yeah, but the size of this store is a size that they do that. So it's really, yeah.
Yeah. Shouldn't affect our approval or not. So, but I was curious. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
We appreciate it.
Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to address the planning commission on this particular proposal? Okay, hearing none. Commissioners, any discussion?
I only had one comment. The square footage on the cover page is 12,000. It doesn't match the 10,000. On C100, just in the footprint of the building.
I can't see it, so.
Yeah, so the type will need.
Okay, we'll fix that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Dr. Watson, anything? Nope. Anything down this way? Nope. Nope. Okay, it would appear that the submitted site plan meets all of the requirements, with the exception of those ones that we just outlined. And we would entertain a motion for approval of the site plan subject to those particular conditions.
So moved.
And adoption of the resolution that staff has provided.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Is there any additional discussion? Jeremiah.
Yes, let me find Taylor.
Taylor,
We're voting.
Well, I wasn't sure if it said Taylor. or what.
Yes, you did.
Support.
Gauss,
Support.
Watson, Jacobitz,
Yes.
Love,
Yes.
Weatherby,
Support.
Johnson.
Sport.
Motion passed unanimously.
Okay. Thank you all very much. Best of luck with that project. The next thing on our agenda. Find my agenda here. Mr. Gibson is here again, I understand, relative to 818 Riverside Avenue. My understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but as they dug into that project, they found a number of issues related to the topography. And chances are that this will require some revisions to the PUD that we approved, planned unit development that we approved last month.
Correct. Correct. So as we got into removing the footings, some of those footings were 10 feet below. There were sub footings, if you will, that were 8 and 10 feet below the footings. And so that there's just a number of voids that we didn't anticipate in the original design. So we're going to have to modify the site a little bit. We're going to shift the road to the east, which will give us, where our goal is to align it with McKinsey, which is some of the feedback that we had before. There were concerns about being closer to Scott. So this would give people more time, to have, to react to people pulling out and what have you onto Riverside. So what we're proposing is with this layout is we're gonna shift the road to the east, still have to tie in like we were going to at to the west of the Grace Crispin building. And then we're going to take some of the dirt that's on the top there, and we're going to be trying to balance out the site and pull some of that down. Is the way that we're going to, that's how we think we can balance out the site and address some of those things. Otherwise, we're talking about a tremendous amount of fill that we would have to bring in, layer in, and do all those things. So we are going to be abandoning some of that infrastructure that we were trying to maintain, some of the curb and gutter and things like that, which gave us that original site plan. And so as a consequence, unfortunately, we're going to have to make some modifications to the design. We're still going to, our intention is to keep the 63 units, the same houses, all of those things would stay the same. The orientation would be modified a little bit, and we would be adding more additional units on the western side of the property so that they could have those nicer views as you're looking over the city's property. So there'd just be some modifications to how that works. Unfortunately, I did get feedback. I mean, everything was approved with the county since we've met last on the drainage calcs and all those things. So we know at least the way that was being done before the county's on board with that. So we'll have to make those amendments and then come back and resubmit those amendments.
I'm not sure I want to speak for the entire planning commission, but I think I would be safe to say that we certainly were in favor of this proposal in concept
Mhm.
and would be more than welcome to see the revised details.
Great. Yeah, we appreciate that support.
Am I correct? That,
Yes. Yeah.
okay. Any other?
So the material that you're gonna get from the site, have you gotten soil reports? Or are you gonna have a borrow pit on the site?
We're working on all of that. I mean, so it's going to evolve a little bit. What we've identified there is maybe having a more of a detention area on that lower portion. And then the goal is based on what our current dirt contractor and different calcs that we've done, initial calculations that we've done, is we think that we can balance out the site by taking some of the upper portion in that upper lot and then relayering that in. We do
It can be
compaction.
used- It can be used for engineered backfill?
That's what our understanding is at present.
Okay.
Yep.
It's all kind of new.
It's new. Yep.
Preliminary now.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Preliminary now, yes.
Yes, of course, we will have it all engineered and all of those things would be required. We would do everything to spec and code.
Like I said, we would welcome seeing the details.
They're forthcoming.
Okay. Questions or comments for Mr. Gibson? Okay, we look forward to it.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. I can report to you that Mr. Clement and Mr. Watson and I have been meeting weekly. Work on the proposed zoning ordinance redo. Progress is being made. It's slow. And rather than me whine about what we have to work with, I'll just say we're working on it and we are making progress. We just this week got from the consultant a download of a list of all the properties with the proposed zoning so that we can actually put these, line them up and see where we're actually get down into the detail of which properties are getting changed in zoning. Which without that, this would have been an almost impossible task. I mean, we would have had to take the new map and go through each little piece and figure out what it was. So that will move it along a little bit for us.
With the massive rewrite, how are we going to handle public notice?
Well, it's a good question. And I'm not sure I
Thank you.
know that. As I said, one of the last meetings, we will have at least one public open house that we will invite the community to in the same manner, maybe a little bit more formalized, but than the bicycle route one.
Right.
But in the same style. And
So the mayor requested that we send out a notice with utility billing, and that's my plan.
about the open house.
Yeah, well, that and some of the changes, kind of to let people know what's gonna happen. I'm talking with MEDC currently to find out what is our requirement to do, and obviously I want to go farther than that because I don't want to just say we're doing this and nobody knows. So my plan is to get it put on the website first of all, so people can see it, have adequate time to review it, and then my thought was 2 open houses, one during work hours, and then one in the afternoon. So that way anyone can come. If they can't make the day, they can make the night. If they can't make the night, they can make the day. And so that's my plan as of so far.
But what we haven't completely resolved is what kind of notice we need to give to people whose properties are being rezoned. And obviously, we have to give them specific notice and do we just do notice to the entire city?
Well, I'm getting that information from
Yeah.
MEDC because that's a legality issue
Yeah.
and I don't want to just presume how we do this.
Right.
So I'm waiting to hear from them on their procedural way to do this.
So in my opinion, since I don't like being accused of lack of transparency, more communication is better.
Yeah.
The more we communicate, the more people who know, I don't want to hear about it later.
And to be honest, the brief looking over the maps and there's not many
Big changes?
there's not many properties that are gonna go from residential to business or,
There aren't-
there aren't
none,
any. I mean,
no.
it's basically you might go from R4 to an R1 or so,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So there may be a few outliers that are,
And some of the B3s will be going to B1 or B2.
yeah,
Yes.
that kind of thing. So
But-
there's nothing
there isn't anything anticipated that will
Yeah.
change what someone can do with their property.
Not even with ADUs? ADUs,
Those are still in there.
they're in there.
Yeah.
But not everybody.
I missed what he
And
said.
this one, I don't understand what that is.
Accessory dwelling unit,
Oh, yes.
Yes,
that's going to be a big change.
yes.
Yes.
And people, there will be people in those residential areas that don't like that idea.
Yes.
Yes.
So those are the kinds of
Yes.
things we need to make sure people are aware of.
Yeah.
'Cause
I
we
was
got to hear the
referring-
positive and the negative. I mean, that's.
I was just referring to zoning, changing zone, most.
But that is one of the big changes. is
Yeah.
Then, as it's currently drafted, people will be able to have an accessory dwelling on their property, subject to how big their lot is and can they meet setbacks. And a big chunk of, like most of the R4s won't qualify for it because the lots are too small.
And
Got it.
the calculation I came up with to keep that in check in a way, so that your property is big enough, is that if you're going to do it above one, so you're allowed to have your garage 3 feet off the property. If you go 1 foot above that first floor, you move 1 foot from the property line. So if you go a whole nother one, you need to be moving up to not up to 12 feet away, but let's say your district is 8 feet, you would move to 8. So you can't just butt up a 2-story building
On a lot.
where it shouldn't go.
Mhm.
So this should actually keep that in check. Hopefully, that's the hope. We'll see how that pans out, but
Yep.
it's the hope.
That's good.
Yep, and it's gonna be, and we don't want to put this out on the web or in public until we at least have something that it isn't fraught with errors and inconsistencies. So that's what we're working on now.
Good. That all makes sense.
Anything else? Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to address the planning commission on anything else? If there is none, that's what I asked.
We said in the audience.
In person or online. We would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Support.
We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.